I've got, if you've had a little look, you will see that I have got two reflections. I'm sorry for stealing two. This one is the short one, so the other one is slightly longer. You'll be pleased to know. I think somebody needs to mute somebody on the Zoom, if that's okay, Michelle. Great. You see, it just shows people are still singing God's praises through cyberspace. Amen. They'll be leading the worship next. Today, following in the footsteps of a great teacher that we know and love called Jesus, I'm going to tell you a parable. This is called the parable of the two luncheon clubs. Once upon a time, are you sitting comfortably, by the way? Then I'll begin. Once upon a time, there were two luncheon clubs, which were amazing places to eat lunch 5 days a week. They were popular, they were well loved, they were happy in their routine. There was steak and kidney pie on Tuesday, quiches on Thursday, fish and chips without fail on Friday. The quiches were well made, firm, no soggy bottoms on their quiches. But then one year, both luncheon clubs found themselves without a cook. Luncheon Club 1 hired a chef, and Luncheon Club 2 hired a nutritionist. Luncheon Club 1 gave their new chef the weekly menu, told him the times, told him the dates, handed him the keys and the suppliers list, and said, "Welcome, off you go." Luncheon Club 2 had a surprise. Their nutritionist took their beloved menu and said, "No way." She didn't take over the management of the Luncheon Club at all, because she started visiting people. She started talking to them about what they ate. She started asking people in their homes if their diet was healthy, and even started asking them how they felt about superfoods and about spinach and kale smoothies. This caused issues. But then serious questions began to be asked whether they could even eat fish and chips on Fridays, Luncheon Club or no Luncheon Club. The nutritionist told them they had a cholesterol problem. A few years went by and Luncheon Club 2 looked entirely different. The people who used to go for lunch no longer ate lunch in the same way at all. In fact, they were much healthier, they were much fitter, but now they were tuned in to modern society and wider society's health kicks. They eat differently. They live differently. They tell their family and their friends about healthy food. They are evangelists on behalf of the nutritionist. Fish and chips Fridays are gone forever. Long live the spinach and the kale energy smoothie. Here endeth the parable. So, when Jesus told parables, often later the disciples would corner him and they would say, "What on earth were you just saying?" Anybody want to do it for me? "Well done. What was that all about?" said one of the slower disciples at the back. And Jesus, as you know, after the feeding of the 5,000, replied, "Are your minds so dull?" A small explanation of my parables. I was once in a meeting with my last bishop, the Bishop of Egypt, and he was talking about his previous meeting. He was very disappointed because a church had not accepted his suggestion of their new priest. And he said to me, and this sentence started that whole parable, he said, "They want a new chef to cook their meals, but he wants to come and be their nutritionist." And then we had a quite complicated meeting, but I wrote, the best bit of the whole meeting was that sentence, which I wrote down. He wants to be their nutritionist. So that one sentence is the crude source of my rather silly, but also deadly serious parable. And like all good parables, it's a mishmash of everything. I should tell you that I hate spinach and kale energy smoothies, and I much prefer fish and chips, so don't judge me. But I hope you understood some things. But because when Jesus spoke his parables, the disciples asked him, and he gave them double barrels, if you like, to explain it, here it goes. So this is my explanation. As the vicar of this parish of 47,000 people, the 7th largest parish in England, I am treated often both as chef and as nutritionist. Interestingly, mainly as chef by the church, but as by nutritionist by the people outside of the church, by the non-Christians. To be clear, I believe that our church needs a nutritionist. I'm sure it's not me. I think actually, if we're mixing up our metaphors, it's Jesus. But I'd love to be the nutritionist assistant, along with a great team. To be clear, doing what we've always done isn't healthy, and it isn't viable, and we must change. We have before us a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity given to us by this awful pandemic for a reboot. What's wrong? Our services don't reach children. They don't reach men. They don't reach the 20s or the 30s. We're stretched too thinly. If all the St. Paul's Sunday School turned up at the same time, there wouldn't be anybody there to open the door. Even with all our many amazing leaders, we are stretched too thinly. We have a plan to reach the parish for Jesus, and we're not interested in managing decline. Our great nutritionist says we must change our diet. If you read all the way through the prophets at the end of the Old Testament, that's all God ever says to them. Not in those words, but you know what I mean. Change your diet. So if we change our diet, that means change our services, change our activities, change our meetings. We must change where we shop for food. Perhaps we're going to Mackie D's too often. We need to go out into the community to different places to get the source of what we need. We even need to change what's in our cupboards. And by that, I mean in our homes. Faith cannot be left at the luncheon. Not the luncheon club. Faith cannot be left in the church. It must come home with us all. Now, can I be really clear? I am not picking on people. I am not picking on churches. All of us have this conflict within us over every issue. There are some theological issues when I'm the chef, and there's some theological issues when I'm the nutritionist. There are some songs that come on the screen when I'm the chef, and there are some when I'm the nutritionist. I have my own internal conflict, and I know you all do too. I'm guilty. We're all guilty. I'm not going to be much longer. Can I just add 2 little twists to the parable, 2 little what-ifs? Do you remember the parables? 2 luncheon clubs. One's got a nutritionist, one's got a chef. Twist 1. What if the nutritionist just gave up and said, forget it, I'll cook you what you like. What are you having? Bacon and egg. Right, here it comes. What if they just threw in the towel? That's twist 1. Twist 2. What if the luncheon club realized that all these things the nutritionist did and said were so simple and so helpful and so healthy that they released them to not help them at all and sent them out into the community to help other people? The church, the luncheon club, made the sacrifice not only in the way their food was prepared and the menu, but even they actually sacrificed their actual nutritionists themselves for the benefit of those around. To be clear, what do we expect from our clergy? To do what is best for those in the church or for those who are out of the church? I beg you, for the rest of 2021 and into 2022, challenge me. Say, Chris, you are being a chef. We want a nutritionist. Chris, We agree with nutritionists and we want a little bit of chef sometimes. Okay. But do we agree that it's not about the menu? It's about nourishing the people. I would like to add, as a point of order, into the parish vocabulary, the phrase is chef or nutritionist. I'm putting them up on the shelf there next to time, treasure, and talent, and up next to proclaiming, investing, and including. Sorry, I'm not going to add very many more. There's one more. Sorry.
Canals and reservoirs.
Pardon?
Canals and reservoirs.
Oh, canals and reservoirs. Put them putting next to canals and reservoirs. This is top shelf stuff. Do we want a chef, or do we want a nutritionist? Last year, the PCC, in long discussion with the ministry teams, agreed that for the future, for us to be good nutritionists, we needed a unified worship service in one location going forward. The reason was so that the energy we saved on Sunday was all placed into empowering us on Sunday as we met and were encouraged together. So we could be released as nutritionists 7 days a week to nourish our parish.